Welcome to Know Your Money. I'm your host, Bronwyn Weiner. With me is Craig Finch, my business partner from Growth Financial Planning. Joining us today and every day is our sound engineer, Warren Grimsley. In our podcast, we will explore our relationship with money and how the psychology of it impacts our financial decisions, as everyone thinks about money differently. We will be presenting a variety of financial topics in an easy-to-understand way, which we hope will assist you in managing your money. Today's episode, we are going to be explaining how the money in your bank account is taxed and in some other forms of investments. Hello, Warren. Hello, Craig. How are you today?
Hi, Brian. Good to see you. Warren, always good to see you.
Always a pleasure. Nice to see you guys.
Yes, awesome. So basically, I think what we want to help people understand today is if you have money in your bank account, should it all be there or should you be moving it into other sort of investments and why? Do you want to explain, Craig?
So you mean the interest earned on your savings account? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is how do we advise people to keep all their money in the bank account? Because I think a lot of people do keep all their money in the bank account because they don't know how to invest or they don't know where to invest. And then if you do that, what happens to that money?
So there is the thought that everything in the bank is taxed, which isn't true. So SARS gives you an annual interest exemption rate. If you're under 65 and your money in your bank account is earning 7%, say in your savings account you're getting a 7% interest, that means the first 340,000 Rand that you hold in that savings account, you will not pay tax on.
Okay.
So if you're under 65 years old, your interest rate 7%, you won't pay tax under 340,000 Rand.
Okay.
And the same formula applies to over 65s, but they get a greater exemption and they're allowed 492,857 Rand. So their interest exemption is higher. So in other words, you can have money in your savings account and you don't pay tax on it. However, as soon as it goes over that, you're going to pay tax on it and therefore you should invest it elsewhere.
Okay. And then what you're basically saying is that money that goes over that, you won't be earning that 7% anymore because a part of that 7% has to be taxed, right?
Correct. So let's assume you taxed at a very high rate of 41%.
Okay.
And you're still earning 7% on your savings account in the bank. You're not getting that 7% because you've been taxed on that. Effectively, you're getting 4.13%.
Does that make any sense to you, Warren?
Okay, so just to recap for the local idiot here, we're saying that if you're under 65 and your savings exceed 340,000 Rand, you will start to be taxed on it.
Yes.
On
so
the interest.
Yes. How that works is everybody is allowed to earn a certain amount of interest. So people under 65, it's 23,800. So how you work that out is you take the 23,000 and you times it by the interest rate that you're earning.
Right. Okay.
So if it was 7%, like Craig alluded to, then it would be 300,000. But
understood. Okay.
If you're earning less or a higher interest rate, then that amount will shift because it's 23,800 is where it's capped.
Yeah, that's your multiple against your interest rate. That's what
Yes.
they've allowed you to have. Okay. But just to clarify then, over that amount of whatever that multiple ends up being, so if we go for Craig's example, over that amount you're getting taxed on the interest only.
Yes, and you get taxed on your marginal tax rate.
Right, and that's very high by the sounds of it.
Yeah, well, it depends on what your marginal tax rate is.
Okay. Yeah.
So if yours is 41%, that 7% now becomes 4.1%, which is way lower. So then you should
inflation.
Exactly. Then you should be putting your money into different investment wrappers.
Yes.
so that you avoid that. And we'll discuss different investment wrappers, but you don't want to be taxed 41% when you can be in something and get taxed 30%.
Yes. Yeah.
So it really is about knowing where your money should go.
Yeah, so effectively, this is what we're talking about here is once you get to that threshold, or even before it, hey, you want to be putting your money somewhere where you don't end up giving more of it in tax, and you can keep more of it yourself.
Exactly, and that is what proper financial planning is sort of doing, is seeing what you're earning and how you're earning it and what wrappers it needs to go into. So yes, in a money market or your bank accounts, then what is your tax rate? Should you be looking at endowments? Should you be looking at offshore? How are those things taxed? All of that. Tax adds a lot. It's one component. Everyone thinks the return that an investment's going to make is the be-all and end-all of it. But there's so much more to it. It's how much are you saving? What tax are you paying on it? So this is just an explanation of where your money should go, I would say.
Absolutely. And I think the important aspect here is that SARS is giving you an amount of interest you can earn annually without paying tax. We say utilize that. Maybe that is your emergency fund. And thereafter, when you're over that threshold, then you look at the other products like you mentioned, tax-free, offshore, endowments, retirement, etc., etc. And that's what you need to discuss with a good financial planner.
Yes, and that's the thing, is it's not just about asset allocation, it's also about product allocation, if that makes sense. You've got to be in the right things to maximize all those different things.
Yeah.
And obviously, again, for someone like me, lean on the expertise of a financial planner.
100%.
They've spent a long time. Craig, you've spent a long time doing this, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and I've spent no time doing it. So why would I try and do it myself?
Well, you've spent a few hours with us, so look at you.
And I have a savings account. That's it. So we will be having a meeting, yeah. No, I think I understand it, and I think the listeners will as well.
Awesome stuff. So basically the take homes of this episode is just to understand your interest exemption. That is by seeing what the interest is that you're earning and then seeing which wrappers you should go into next. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you for teaching me today.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe or visit our website, www.growthfp.co.za. The information we have provided in this podcast is our personal opinion. For more detailed information, please discuss your financial situation with a financial planner.